The story of Mandy, the haunted doll, is far from simple. In fact, the Quesnel and District Museum in Canada was given this doll by an anonymous donor with a gut-wrenching tale to tell. An experience so horrifying, the donor was too afraid to discard this doll without being sure it couldn't return. To avoid confusion, I will call the donor A. It's unknown where A found Mandy the doll, but wherever it was, he felt intrigued enough to take it home, a decision he would later regret. Mandy was dressed in a beautifully kept white dress, with lace detailing around the arms and waist. Around the neck of the doll was a silk ribbon tied in a bow. It connected the dress to a white hood, which showed orange specks of hair poking through. The doll's eyes were a dark blue with what seemed like a crystal shine that covered them. The eyes were so realistic, they sucked you in with a simple look. The doll had an excited expression on its face, with a wide nose and 2 teeth that pointed forwards. This doll's appearance was hypnotic, not because of how beautifully it was dressed, but because the left side of its face was covered in lifelike scars and scratches, whilst the right side was seemingly untouched. One night, A was awoken to chaos surrounding him. He heard extremely loud cries that seemed to be coming from a real baby. The echoing of the cries made him very disoriented as he realized in panic he didn't have a baby. After searching the house, he realized the harrowing sound was coming from the basement, the same place the doll had last been. After listening to the wailing and screaming for what seemed like an eternity, A finally found the strength to peer into the basement. He noticed a small window was wide open, so he rushed down thinking someone was in his house. The noise stopped. A closed the window and turned to face a small cardboard box where he had placed the doll. It wasn't there. Mandy the doll was nowhere to be found. A went back to his bedroom, hoping to get a few more hours of sleep in, but in doing so, he realized it was almost morning. Being consumed by the sounds of crying, A had not realized he had been standing outside the basement door all night. After a restless night, he had woken up to find Mandy the doll back in the basement. She was sitting with a little lamb teddy on her lap, with the same excited grin on her face. A took Mandy to the museum and confirmed the odd experience had only happened once. But once was enough for A to rid the doll from his house permanently. After arriving at the museum, immediately the chaos began. Staff members recall their lunches, books, stationery, and personal belongings being moved or hidden. Things would go missing for days, then show up placed in drawers or even placed neatly in the cabinets where the other dolls were kept. It's rumored that Mandy the doll was isolated from other dolls because she had become violent and would move or push them over in the middle of the night due to some sort of jealousy. It's said that Mandy was never violent towards humans, only other dolls. It is still unknown as to why Mandy's left side of her face is covered in scars and scratches. One scar even goes from her eyebrow to cheek, leaving a scrape that goes straight across her glass eye. Many people visit the museum just to see Mandy and claim their phones or cameras would malfunction. Either their phones suddenly died or the photos were blurred and distorted. Many psychic investigators visit Mandy, and they all say the same thing. They believe the doll is likely possessed by the spirit of a young girl who craves attention. She is harmless, unless the attention is taken away from her. It's believed that if you visit her, you won't be harmed, harassed, or cursed as long as you give her enough attention. This kind of sounds like my toxic ex. So if you ever decide to visit Mandy, prepare your phone battery to die or any photos you take to be bad quality. As long as you don't ignore her, You will be fine.